Hello YouTube, Mad Dog here. I thought I'd do a video. This is a basic overview video of some pyrotechnic bits of kit that you could possibly carry in your bug out bag, your vehicle, your survival kit even, for signalling in a true emergency or survival situation. As we all know, there's hundreds of different types of signalling devices. I'm not going to go into real depth into the technology side of things and the ELTs and the burst radios, all the rest of it. Just basic pyrotechnic stuff that we can all carry, and excuse me, try and explain some of the pros and cons of each one. And over the next few weeks or whenever I get around to it, I'll be demonstrating each piece of equipment, just to show you how effective they are and the proper use of them. So I'll just give you a quick run through of some of the stuff that I have here at the moment. So hopefully, as you can see on the bench, I've got an array of signalling equipment. So I'll start from the left, my left, and here we have two handheld signal flares, a blue one and a red one as the cap indicates. Now these ones are within the cap. Take the cap off there, there's a little head of it's like match head material, phosphorus material, and when you take the bottom cap off, there's a striker within it. So you would strike that material, hold the flare out at 45 degrees away from yourself, preferably wearing gloves if you have any, and obviously, like with all flares, never look directly at the flame so you don't damage your eyes. Advantages with these are they burn for quite a while, quite a good length of time. You can also use these to light a fire on the floor with, to make a fire. Disadvantages, obviously wind and rain. If they're not kept dry, they become useless. If the striker plate becomes wet or damaged, it's useless unless you have another means of igniting it. The trick with all flares really is to command the high ground for visibility. So wherever you may be, it's no good using one of these in the middle of a woodland or in a valley. You need to get as high as you can for maximum visibility. So they're two of the same type. I've then got here a red strobe torch, like the firework type, but it works just the same. But this particular type of flare or strobe, this will emit the same bright red intensity, but it will flash on and off to give a strobe effect. But it's got the visco fuse wick, which means excuse me again, that you will need a secondary form of ignition, so a lighter, a smaller fire to establish that ignition. So again, that's a disadvantage, and of course the fact that it can be exposed to the elements, become wet and useless. So all these sort of flares need to be stored really in like a Ziploc bag, and obviously away from an immediate source of ignition for your own safety. Excuse me. Another red handheld flare, again the same method. It's got a fuse underneath this protective label. Then I'm moving on. I've got here more substantial flares. These are a marine flare, so they do stand up to the weather a lot better, obviously, by the nature of the design. So water ingress, etc., isn't so much of a problem. Now these, you hold them at the base, take the cap off, and there's a little string pull there that you pull to activate it. Again, always pull it at arm's length away from yourself and hold 45 degrees and away from you. These burn, all of these burn for approximately a minute, 60 seconds. So that being said, the key feature here is try and use a secondary signal device first to attract attention, whether that be a whistle, a torch with a strobe light function that you can use for a long time just to get somebody's attention, or a signal mirror, obviously, to flash at any oncoming aircraft, people on the ground, boats if you're at sea. light the fire, light a fire, a standard fire, and get lots of green foliage on there to create lots of white smoke, or rubber. If you've got, you know, if you're in a crashed vehicle or aircraft, anything that's rubber will emit a lot of smoke, but be careful not to breathe in the fumes because they are toxic. So once you've actually established contact, then it's advisable to use your flare because they only have a 60-second burn time. So that allows the would-be rescuer to hone in and pinpoint your actual position. Once you've established your flare and you're using it, don't move from that position. These little Pyrotechnic cartridges are strobe flares, again, very small, very light and compact. So again, if you store 3 of those into a watertight bag or container, then they're very effective. Then we move on to smoke cartridges. Obviously smoke is a fantastic way of attracting attention. Now obviously the big disadvantage with smoke is the wind. If you're in a windy situation and you need to activate one of these, always have the wind to your back and position the smoke cartridge as low to the ground as you can, where the air pressure is less, so you know, you get a better spread, a better release of smoke without interruption. So I've got a various array of different coloured smokes. Now excuse me, the international distress signal, whether it be smoke, fire, any form of visual distress, is the triangle, as we all know. So if this was a fire, you'd light 1 at the front and 2 behind, and that is the international distress code. Unless you're running along a main river or something where you're on a beach, or then the distress signal internationally recognised is 3 fires or flares in a row. That's basic international distress call. So again, I've got quite a few different smoke cartridges over here, and I will be demonstrating all of these in use over the next few weeks. Excuse me. At some point in the future I'll be doing videos to show you how to make a basic smoke cartridge mix that you can make yourself at home, hopefully in a safe manner. And I'll also be showing people that want to do a little bit more advanced pyrotechnic experimentation how to make a basic flare mix. That's a little bit more in depth and really requires a basic understanding of chemicals and the safe handling of chemicals, but I'll post it out there in the future and show you how to do that anyway. So I just thought I'd do a quick overview of some basic signalling pyrotechnics. They do have the place in survival, in my opinion. I'm talking survival, not bushcraft again, because obviously the secondary use for all of these is firelighting. So if you've got no other means of lighting a fire, you can actually light a distress signal flare and point that into your fire set that you've already established, and it will ignite obviously the material, and you've got yourself your fire. So that pretty much covers a basic overview of this subject, this topic. I'm not going to bombard you all with constant videos over and over again of the same old, excuse me, but I will be touching on signalling quite a bit in the future, because it is an in-depth subject with a lot of content, and there is a lot to learn for signalling and rescue, whether it be radio transmitters or pyrotechnics or just basic how to get yourself rescued. So again, I'll be covering that in the future. So that wraps this one up for now. This video is already way too long. So anyway, thank you very much for watching as always. Take care out there, and I'll see you on the next one, which won't be long. Mad Dog signing off. Yeah.